Hi, I'm Paul Kyogan from GK Tuition, and in this video I want to talk to you about financial maths. Now the question that I've chosen to go through here is 2017 Paper 1 Question 1. In this question we're told that a company buys a new machine for €30,000 and that it depreciates at a rate of 15% per year. So we're asked to work out what is the value of the machine after 5 years. Now so the machine is losing value and it's depreciating. You should realize that there's a formula in your log tables for depreciation, or a formula in your maths tables. It's on page 30 and it's given as F is equal to P times 1 minus I to the power of T, where F is the final value of the machine, P is the initial value or the present value, I refers to the interest rate, and T refers to the time or the number of periods. In this case we're dealing with years and it's going to be 5 years. So I know that P is 30,000 and I know that T is 5. Notice that I've written the interest I as 0.15. You cannot write it as a percentage. They've given me the interest as 15%. You need to divide 15 by 100 and write it as a decimal. 15% corresponds to 0.15. So all we have to do is sub in. We know P, we know I, and we know T. So if we sub into the formula, we'll be able to figure out what our F is. So you'll notice here I've done that. Instead of P I've put in 30,000, instead of I I've put in 0.15, and instead of T I've put in a 5. If you plug all that into your calculator, your final answer works out as €13,311.16. Obviously it wouldn't make sense to go to any further than 2 decimal places because we're talking about money here. We only ever go to cent. So your final answer there is just 13,311.16. In the second part of this question, we're told that a sum of money was invested at 3% compound interest for 2 years. We're asked to figure out what was the initial sum invested. So again, you should go to your maths tables, and page 30 are your formula for financial maths. And there's a formula for compound interest. Compound interest is given as F is equal to P times 1 plus I to the power of T, where I refers to the interest rate as a decimal, T refers to the time, P refers to the initial investment, and F refers to the final value. So we've been told that the final value after 2 years, this sum of money is worth 30,000. So F is 30,000. We've been told the interest rate is 3%. So you get 3 and you divide it by 100. So I is 0.03. And we've been told this is for 2 years, which means T is equal to 2. So if we sub into the formula from our maths tables, the only thing we don't know is P. So you'll notice that that's what I did on this line. I get 30,000 is equal to P times 1 plus 0.03 to the power of 2. Now you should notice that on this line, you're trying to isolate your P. In order to isolate P, this is P multiplied by 1 plus 0.03 to be squared. So in order to isolate P, you need to divide both sides by this bracket. If you divide the right hand side by that bracket, you're just left with P. If you divide the left hand side by that bracket, it's 30,000 over the bracket itself. If you just plug all of that into your calculator, you find the value for P, the initial investment, was 28,277.88 cents. In the final part of this question, we're told that an initial investment of €25,000 was left in a bank account for 3 years and it accumulated interest and became €26,530.20. And we're asked to use this information to find the rate of interest. So you need to realize they've told you P the initial investment, F the final value, and T the number of times interest was earned. Again, they've mentioned compound interest, so you go to page 30 on your maths tables and we use the same formula as we have been using. F is equal to P times 1 plus I to the power of T. If you just sub in all the information you've been given, the only piece of information I don't know is I. So on this line I've just subbed it all in. Now, you should realize that on this line you want to isolate this bracket. You need to get the 1 plus I to the power of 3 on its own. And in order to do that, you have to divide both sides by 25,000. If you divide the right by 25,000, you're just left with 1 plus I to the power of 3. If you divide the left by 25,000, you end up with this fraction. Now, you should realize the next problem is the to the power of 3. You need to get rid of this bracket to be cubed. The opposite of having something to the power of 3 is to get the cubic root of it. So if you get the cubic root of the right hand side, you're just left with 1 plus I. The left hand side, you have to actually write it as the cubic root. It's the square root sign with a small 3 at the top. Now you should realize, again, that obviously the whole goal here is to get I on its own. If I can manipulate this to get I on its own, I can just plug it all into my calculator. So in this line, I just have 1 plus I. And I want to get the 1, I want to have only an I on the right, which means I want to subtract 1 from both sides. Which means the right hand side becomes just I, but the left hand side is what I already had minus 1. Now you can plug all of this into your calculator. There's a button on your calculator for cubic root. If you press shift and then the square root, there's a little button that says it's cubic root. So you can plug all that into your calculator and your I should work out as 0.02. Now remember, that's I as a decimal, but realistically if they've asked you for the interest rate, you need to leave your answer as a percentage. So to convert it to a percentage, you multiply 0.02 by 100, and your final answer is the interest rate must have been 2%. So I hope all of this makes sense. If there's anything you're unsure of there, just let me know in class or send me an email and I'll try and clarify it for you.